Hi South Bay Coastal, I'm Chief Hwang, and today my class will be on answering officer questions during inspection as well as memorization tips. So, first going over how do you answer questions from an officer? Well, first of all, before inspection even starts, you should greet an officer. Now, when the officer moves from the last cadet to you, you should take the initiative and say, "Good morning, sir or ma'am." No need to address specific rank or names. It is good to stick with "Good morning, sir or ma'am." And if it's afternoon, say "Good afternoon." If it's evening, say "Good evening." So, following that, how do you answer their questions? Well, if an officer asks you, "Cadet, what is your first general order?" I like to use something called a chief sandwich. Now, a chief sandwich is not a literal sandwich, and most likely it won't be a chief that's inspecting you, but for instructional purposes and for memorization purposes, we will call it a chief sandwich. So an example would be, if you're asked what your first general order is, it would be, "Chief, this cadet's first general order is to take charge of the post and all government property in view." Chief. So you see, we begin by addressing their rank and we end with addressing their rank. Most likely, once again, it will not be a chief that's inspecting you, so you would just say, "Sir, this is my first general order. Sir, or ma'am, this cadet's first general order is," and then you conclude with "ma'am." And this is a typical sandwich you want to use to answer all questions, so not just general orders. Whenever they ask you anything, always address their rank. Render proper customs and courtesies. Now, how do you answer when you do not know the answer to something? Which I hope is not the case, because you all will work hard, try your best to memorize everything that we sent out. But let's say you get a little nervous, your mind slips. Okay, how do you answer something you do not know? Well, you will say, "This cadet does not know the answer, but will soon find out." I'll say it again. "This cadet does not know the answer, but will soon find out." What you're saying basically is, I don't know the answer to this, but I will do my best to go find out what the real answer is, or the correct answer is, which is what officers want to hear, okay? And what was the problem with my last response? I didn't address rank correctly, so you should say, "Sir," or "Ma'am, this cadet does not know the answer, but will soon find out." Sir or ma'am. Yes, chief sandwich, do not forget. Okay, now moving on to memorization tips. You all should have gotten an email from Sea Cadets or our unit that there's this calendar and there's this list of things you should memorize before inspection. The whole list is organized by dates, so as long as you follow the calendar, you should be good to go on inspection date. Now, these are memorization tips and tricks that I've learned from being in speech and debate. This is a method that best works for me and has helped me memorize 2 10-minute speeches in one day. And if I can do it, you can do it too. Okay, first of all, memorization requires mind power, okay? And you cannot have mind power without having a distraction-free zone. So, if this is distracting you, or your laptop is distracting you, or anything, I suggest you power it off, or put it in a separate room. I have enough self-control, so I can power it off, or just leave it on my desk. But if you do not, it is important to recognize that, which is okay, and put your phone in a separate room. Once you do this and have a distraction-free zone, you will look at, let's say you're memorizing your first general order, for example. You will look at the first general order, and I suggest you print out what you're supposed to memorize so you don't get off track and then start going on your laptop. Print out what you're supposed to memorize, read the first line, memorize each word. Then, once you've memorized it in your head, you will say it out loud once you're confident in it. Now, moving on to second general order. You will look at all the words, memorize it, and then once you're confident, you will say the second general order out loud, but you will also say the first and second general order out loud. Do we see a pattern here? Then, let's say you're moving on memorizing your third general order. So then you will memorize your third general order, and then once you're confident in it, you will recite the first, second, and third general order out loud. So do you notice how we're kind of building on what we've already memorized, but every time we move forward, we also go backwards and look at and repeat what we've already memorized? That is my most effective and most effective way I've memorized things. And yeah, if you have any questions or concerns or need someone to talk to or need some encouragement or inspiration to memorize, you can always text or call me, or text in the group me, and I'll be here for you. But yeah, we'll see you guys on inspection, and I know we're all gonna do well. Thank you.